one theme, and that's my whole life, and that's one love. One love, got one dream, and that's one love. One love, we got one scheme, and that's one love. One love, that's one theme, and that's one love. It's one love, my whole life. I said there's two of us, we got one dream, and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Between the both of us, we got one scheme, and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Our life together has one theme, and that's one love. I said that's one love. I'd rather die than live my whole life without that one love. And you that one love. I said there's two of us, we got one dream, and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Between the both of us, we got one scheme, and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Our life together has one theme, and that's one love. I said that's one love. I'd rather die than live my whole life without that one love. And you that one love, girl. All these girls keep chasing views like they doing something. They ain't doing nothing. And all these boys keep making moves cause they assuming something. Everybody doing fake friends like they crew or something. But all these people make my stomach sick like the flu or something. They crying X cause they prince is gone. We might just flex cause I'm
Yo, what up fam? What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? What up? What up Twitch nuts? What up Twitch? Twitch fo sheezy.
Real love I showed you. I wish for once that you would back me up, but I can't expect that I know you. Cause we been there and then we came through it. Backstabbed and then we undo it. A lot of people said they come through, but when it came to it, ain't one do it. We got one dream and that's
What up? Papa Swole about to go live. Live. Schlives. Schlives.
one theme and that's
Uh-huh.
my whole life and that's one love. One love, got one.
What up fam? Now's the time to like, share, drop a comment, drop some biceps. Make sure you say something. Don't keep it quiet. Don't sit in the back.
That's one theme and that's
It's not like you're up in the front of the class. I mean, come on, just say yo. What up? Say what up, Papa.
That's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Between the both of us, we got one scheme and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Our life together has one theme and that's one love. I said that's one love. I'd rather die than live my whole life without that one love. And you that one love. I said there's two of us, we got one dream and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Between the both of us, we got one scheme and that's one love. Yeah, that's one love. Our life together has one theme and that's one love. I said that's one love. I'd rather die than live my whole life without that one love. And you that one love. I got my head down, arms are up. I didn't think life would be this rough. Back and forth, we went do-si-do, and then I packed my bags and I hit the road. We were making moves without a clue.
All right, we're good. We got heads in the room. We got heads.
All regret, my chin is up and you puff.
Today's inspired by the new YouTube drop, and we're going to talk a little bit about some current events because we got the Olympia tomorrow. If anyone cares, or if you knew, you didn't know, we're talking fitness today. Fitness, nutrition, freshly squeezed juice. We'll talk about it all. Do a lot of Q&A, Q&A-ness. So about that podcast, Papa Soul, about that podcast, about that. Let's do that podcast, shall we? Yes, we shall. Hit the like button.
The sun is shining. The birds are chirping.
Float some
the
hearts.
bacon is sizzling.
Don't be shy with that shit.
Welcome to the
Come on.
Daily Swole.
Come on. Testing, 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 testicles. Welcome everyone to episode 860 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gaincast, mancast, pimpcast, and anabolic steroid cast in the realm. No, this isn't a steroid cast. We're going to talk about that shit today, though. Oh, because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. I'm sorry. I forgot the finisher. It's like Mortal Kombat. Finish him. And you just walk away from the game. Why would you put the controller down? Why would you not rip off his head and spine and watch it twitch there with the blood dripping down? Why would you not do that? Come on, blood code. Where my 30-year-olds plus at? Where my Sega Genesis peeps at? Where my peeps at? Make sure you float some hearts and float some thumbs. This is not a passive broadcast. This is not a passive podcast. I mean, you don't have to talk, but it certainly helps if you engage. Remember, it's very easy to forget that I cannot see you. You can see me. You know what I look like. I don't know what you look like in most cases. I can't hear you laughing. I can't hear you asking questions. I can't see you clapping. I can't see if you go like this. I can't see you give a thumbs up. I don't know what the hell you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking. You know what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying, but I don't know anything that's going on your end. So it's kind of weird when you think about it. I am sitting here talking to myself and you're watching me essentially talk to you, but talk to myself. I'm in a room. 30 years ago, I'd have been some fucking psychopath. But now I am just some bearded dude with an opinion. Yeah. Oh. What's going on? What is that? What name is that? Yashua, Killer Instinct guy here. I know that's a game. I know nothing about it, but sweet. I've heard of it. Just finished some Scottish fresh mussels. Happy tum. Fresh mussels. Oh, you mean like the scallop type things, like the seafood? Nice. Big 5-0 in December. Happy birthday. Early as hell though, Larry, but happy birthday. Today's episode is Juice Sauce Natty or Not. If you are watching, wherever you're watching from, a lot of you are watching on Facebook. You're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast. You're watching on Instagram, wherever you're catching my stuff. Some of you are also watching on YouTube. The latest on the main channel, not the Daily Swole YouTube channel, but the main channel dropped a new video because I've been getting a lot of messages. As you can imagine, I get hundreds of messages a day. And we're talking between emails, between Facebook messages, between Instagram DMs, Snapchat messages. Where else can I get messages? YouTube comments. Everywhere, whether it's the Instagram story, whether it's a post, a comment, I'm always trying to get all the sauce, right? I'm always trying to gather all the sauce. I'm always trying to put it all in one spot and kind of get the pulse of what's going on and answer as many questions and things as I possibly can. And I dip into those things depending on the content and depending on what the lay of the land is, depending on where the wind is blowing on my YouTube channel. And I've been getting a bunch of questions, a couple in particular, around a similar topic, frustration, and from young dudes primarily. These questions were coming from males, young bucks, as we call them. But it definitely goes the same way with females. The same thing with women, because everyone's exposed to these ideals on social media. I've been raging recently about the fat acceptance movement, about Tess Holliday, and that abomination of an acceptance to being obese and to being unhealthy. And that's wrong. But it's also wrong when you look at it from the other spectrum. I'm not talking about anorexia. I'm not talking about it being excessively skinny. What I mean is trying to aspire to a look that is naturally impossible, that is unrealistic. And when you put what these people do for a living in perspective, they live fitness. Fitness is their life. That's what they do. They are in the fitness industry. They are sponsored. They are competitors, IFBB pros, or they work for a clothing line. That's their life is fitness. Their life is fitness. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't say to yourself, fitness is life and you can't prioritize fitness in your life. But most of you have families, you have jobs, your whole be all end all, the way you make your money, the way you live your life, like the way you survive, right? Everything that you do isn't fitness. And even for me, everything I do isn't fitness. My business and Swolenormous is fitness without the bullshit. So I'm always talking about fitness related topics, right? But as we know from this podcast, fitness related topics really range. It's not just how much you bench, bro. For me, the way I approach fitness, it's not just how much you bench. As you know, we don't just talk about exercise program. We don't just talk about muscles, because fitness, wellness, being free and rid of disease and illnesses, being healthy, actually having fitness is physical, it's mental, it's psychological, it's communication with other human beings, it's all those different levels of hierarchy, right? Maslow's, laws of hierarchy, having shelter, having food, having protection, community, right? And then there's everything else in between with supplements, and then there's marketing, and there's all these different aspects of fitness and life. So fitness really covers life, and you can relate everything in life back to fitness and back to your health, because mental health is directly related to physical health. It's directly related, and when you affect one, you affect the other. So those are links that we need to keep in the forefront and really address. We talked about how nutrition can lead to depression, and how improper nutrition and how the gut-brain axis can cause depression. Eating inflammatory foods can cause depression, and there's a lot of research coming out on that. And there's a lot of things we're learning, and that is helping a lot of people. Those of you that have chronic migraines or chronic pain, and you're doing elimination diets, and you're figuring out really what's going on with your body, that's the pursuit of health. That's the pursuit of big time wellness, right? Really making a difference, making an actual difference, not just talking about, hey, how do I look in the mirror? Do I got a six pack? Yeah, that's the superficial 90s. That's old school fitness, right? Where if you have abs and muscles, you are in shape and you are fit. But we know that just because you look good doesn't mean that you're good on the inside. It doesn't mean you're not going to have cancer. It doesn't mean you're not going to have heart disease. It doesn't mean those things. There are a lot of variables we're still figuring out. So without going down too much of a rabbit hole about things that we don't really know yet, let's talk about some of the obvious ones. So the comparison, and like I said, it's not about fat or anorexic. It's about fat and then super fit. So you'll see these things on Instagram mostly because Facebook has all sorts of different posts. Instagram is really visual. I mean, I guess Facebook's really visual too, but you know what I mean. Instagram is literally pictures, videos, just in your face. You're scrolling through people's pictures, and you can edit, you can Photoshop, you can do all these different things. You can use filters and stuff. You can take 1,000 pictures and post one. I want to draw a correlation between scientific studies and Instagram, because when you read a scientific study, you're reading one scientific study. When you look at Instagram, you're looking at one picture or video that someone posted. They took 100 of them, and they're only posting one that they edited. And that's the same thing with scientific studies. There may be 50 or 100 studies, only one gets published in the journal. So there's a lot of things that aren't seen, right? So we're finding that transparency is more and more challenging to come by. When there is transparency, we find out that, oh, there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of bullshit, there's a lot of garbage behind the scenes that we don't like. So social media is exposing a lot of people, which is a good thing, because a lot of the phonies and the jabronis now, because there's so much transparency with Instagram stories, with live broadcasts, you can really hear how people talk. It's not just a picture. You can tell when they know what they're talking about. We have a lot of proof where if they're really being authentic with their business or with their fitness, or if they're telling the truth. And that leads to whether or not someone is really in shape, whether or not someone is actually being authentic in their approach with their community. And that has a lot to do with the anabolic steroid conversation. And this gets really twisted because most people don't realize, one, how many people take anabolic steroids, and two, how many different types of anabolic steroids there are. Just because you take something doesn't mean you're huge. And I'm talking about this on the eve of the Mr. Olympia competition, which, if you don't know, is tomorrow night. The prejudging is tomorrow night, at least for the men's bodybuilding. And this is the, quote, premier bodybuilding show in the world, where you have all the IFBB pros. It's the IFBB, whatever you want to call it, federation, whatever it is. And the winner is pretty much, it's like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, is the Mr. Olympia competition. All the other competitions during the year are qualifiers. So you're allowed to compete in the Olympia. So you have to win a show. You have to finish top 3, blah, 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 at certain pro shows in order to qualify to even compete in the Olympia. So you have to go through trials. You can't just sign up and, hey, I'm going to go to the Olympia and go on stage. You have to earn it, right? And these people, especially in the IFBB, whether you are a top competitor in the IFBB, if you get your IFBB Pro card, 99.9% of the time, you're taking something. You're taking some sort of illegal substance. You're taking some sort of anabolic. You're taking some sort of hormone altering substance that's going to give you the competitive edge. And this is not tested. It's very well known. It's very, very open in terms of use, but people usually just don't talk about it. It's like this conscious denial of people just not having this conversation really because everyone's taking it, everyone knows, but it's illegal. So shh, we don't talk about it. And no one talks about it, even these pro bodybuilders, because they're sponsored by these companies. And if they come out and admit, hey, I'm talking about steroid use, they can get fired. They can lose their sponsorship because technically it's illegal. You know, and now there's a lot of gray area because you can get it prescribed by a doctor. Okay, so now these pro bodybuilders are getting prescribed testosterone replacement, but they're taking extra, so you can't really, but they're under a prescription. So, you know, it makes it very, very gray area. But the long and the short of it is you have men and women looking online and aspiring to be one of these people. And it doesn't mean you want to be the biggest person, the most ripped person in the world, but you might aspire to be someone that models for a clothing company, hint, hint, for example, on Instagram, or you want to look like someone who does all these cool exercises, you know, these pull-ups and all these cool bar workouts. And yeah, they rep a clothing line or a supplement line, and you look at their body and you want that. So their video, their content, maybe what they say, their charisma, right, might inspire you to work out. It inspires you to get in shape. It inspires you to make a difference and make that change. However, what they don't talk about is the grams of anabolics that they take in order to be really full, to have bulging muscles and veins at a very, very low body fat percentage. And I want to make this exceptionally clear. That's not natural. It's not natural, it's not normal, and it's not sustainable to be extremely, extremely lean and very, very pumped and full. If you have ever dieted down and gotten very lean and cut down a lot in body fat, you'll get very flat. Does anyone ever have that feeling in the gym when you cut carbs a lot and you get really, really lean, you try to cut down, right, caloric deficits? Do you know that feeling that I'm talking about, that quote flat feeling? That's a layman's term, but that's a very common term that we use in the industry when you just feel kind of like, it's almost like, it's just like skinny. You feel skinny, right? Your muscles don't feel pumped. You don't feel hard. You just kind of feel deflated. And that's because your muscles are pretty much zapped of glycogen stores. And your body is going into essentially a starvation mode. Your body is essentially getting ready to, oh shit, we got to start eating ourselves because we are not getting the nutrients we need. We're in a caloric deficit and we need more fuel. We need more chow. We're not getting enough food to survive, to handle what we're trying to do. So how do these people get very, very lean and stay pumped, right? How do you look like fucking full, jacked, pumped, full, the shape and the muscles, the veins popping? And how do you get that with an extremely low body fat percentage? Well, when you take exogenous hormones like anabolic steroids, this skews your hormone profile and your hormone balance when you're at very, very low body fat percentages. In other words, it changes what your body's natural state would be because you're adding extra stuff. Your body wouldn't produce testosterone at that level. Your body wouldn't produce these hormones that give you that kind of full, saturated look at a low body fat percentage, because it would go into this state of defense, hardcore defense, to try to stay alive. But since you're adding and you're injecting or orally or whatever you're doing, male and female, you are able to get that hard, muscle dense look and maintain that fullness at a low body fat percentage. And women do this too. Women do this too. Men do this, women do this too. The issue is on social media, on Instagram, you don't know who's doing what because they don't have to say it. Why would they put that in their profile? Hey, I'm taking steroids. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't say anything. Some people even go so far to be a piece of shit and say, hey, Natty lifter, natural pro, or natural this. And you look at them, they're not natural, bullshit. And if you're in the industry and you have any kind of experience with fitness, you know what the look is. You can tell when someone is talking out their ass, when someone does not look right. You know, there's just something off, or you can tell certain muscle groups are just overly developed. There is a hardness to the muscle. There's a dryness to the skin. There's a skin quality. You can see the differences. It's very easy to cover these things up with airbrushing and with softening the glow and the filters, right? But they really get into this snake oil salesman type mentality and situation when they are sponsored by supplement companies and they're holding these supplement containers and these bottles of BCAAs or protein, this, that, and the other, and they're advertising, and you're thinking, man, I want to look like this person. This person really fucking amps me up. I'm getting psyched to train. Let me take what they're taking. They're not taking those BCAAs. BCAAs are well known to be fucking bunk, right? I mean, and the protein powders, you just get that from food. Like, you don't need these supplements to get big. Not only that, even if you did take them, even if they did work and did what they say they did, you wouldn't look like that. Okay. Now, this is not to take away from anyone in the Olympia competition, just because I want to also say that just because you take some of these illegal substances, take anabolic steroids, it doesn't mean you're going to look like that. It takes a shitload of hard work. You still have to eat like a king. You still have to train like a beast. You still have to sleep and be consistent as fuck, even more so. Like, just because you take stuff doesn't mean you're gonna look like that. And most of the people, or many of the people at your gym, are taking something. You just don't know it because they look like shit. And it is exposed because, or I know that because I've talked to a lot of people that are taking stuff that look like they don't. I look better than most people that are taking anabolics because I train properly. Most people just take that stuff. They don't take quality stuff. They don't know what they're doing. They don't do it properly, and they can really put their health at risk. So it doesn't give you an amazing body just because you take it. It can absolutely help push you past your genetic potential if you're doing everything else right in addition to that. And that's where these guys at the Olympia, and of course, when you get to the Olympia, it's experience, it's years and years of developing muscle tissue, it's learning how to pose, it's the dieting down before the show. And of course, that's not a health competition. That's I want to look a certain way at this specific time from this specific angle. That's what a bodybuilding competition is. So don't get that confused with a health competition. I'm not saying any of these people are healthy, period, even at a natural show. It's not a healthy undertaking. However, there are tons and tons of people that are literally lying through their fucking teeth and or are not lying. They're just omitting the fact that they're taking stuff. And you're looking at these people thinking, fuck, I wish I could look that good. How they look so good. And then you start feeling bad about yourself. So it goes both ways. No, we should not be promoting being obese. That's fucking a huge mistake. And we should not be promoting being extremely low body fat percentage and looking like any of these fucking jabronis on social media, because most of them are just completely pumping themselves full of this shit. I just posted a video on YouTube today, a couple hours ago, so you could check that on my YouTube channel. And so, I get messages like, hey man, I've been training for years, and I've been looking at, this person and this person. I know they're taking stuff and I'm not, but I'm just getting frustrated. Like, what do I do? Because I really love to train. I'm training hard like a beast and I'm seeing progress, but I know I'm never going to look like that. But at the same time, I feel shitty because, these people, these kids are, I wouldn't say kids, adults. It's just people. You try really hard and you're putting all your effort in and you're doing it, quote, the right way. And you're getting bummed out because you're paying attention to other people's shit. So it's one thing to distract yourself, but I get it, because everyone that posts videos, including myself, I have a podcast. Obviously, I have a podcast. We're all listening to the podcast right now. You're watching me or you're listening to me. There are many podcasts out there. There's a lot of places where you could be spending your time to listen. So just so you know, I'm extremely humbled and appreciative of every single person, those of you that are watching live and those of you that are listening after the fact. I love each and every one of you, and I really appreciate your attention, because there are so many things, a billion things you could be doing right now. There's a million podcasts you could listen to or watch. There are a lot of people with beards you could be looking at right now, but you're watching this shit. So I appreciate it. And there is a responsibility for someone who would call themselves a fitness professional to take ownership and to address the reality of what's going on. It's important to be healthy. Healthy is the number one thing. And look, if you want to go and be a professional bodybuilder, you're going to have to take that stuff. You're going to have to, otherwise you won't compete. You won't make it that far. So a lot of people are really considering this type of stuff a drug competition more than a fitness or a bodybuilding competition, because it's really how much drugs can the human body take. And these guys that are getting so big and so pumped and just so fucking massive, they're taking so much stuff. And I'm telling you, they're not taking testosterone only. They're not taking, one thing. They're taking like 20 or 30, maybe even more different substances. And no joke. They're not taking a couple things. They're not taking growth hormone and test. They're taking tons and tons of different things in different quantities. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And obviously it works, right? It works. It's also very dangerous because your body in many ways never recovers from adding in exogenous hormones. And what is even more bullshit is that the supplements and the supplement companies that sponsor these athletes, or quote athletes, or bodybuilders, or fitness personalities on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, that they're selling you shit. They're selling you fucking powders that don't work. They're selling you stuff on bunk evidence that has been disproven. And they're selling you these powders, and you're buying that with the intent of keeping to training hard and to look like those people that are promoting it. You're not going to look like them. They're taking steroids. BCAAs aren't going to get you looking fucking good. Protein powder's not going to get you looking like that. It takes years and years of effort. And in addition to that, these people are investing their entire lives into their training. You're doing this as something to get healthier so you can play with your kids. Like, it depends on what your goal is, but you have to be realistic. And there's a disconnect with how many people are using anabolics versus how many people you think are using anabolics. A lot more people are than you would realize. Did you see, I'm going to do a video on that, Travis. Did you see the interview with Big Ramy today? He's 310 pounds lean. Yeah, I don't think that's going to help him though, to be honest. I think he's too big. I just think he's too big. I think he really has to be test. He has to be, I don't know why that noise still comes through. He has to be legitimately completely 120%. 120%. And Phil Heath has to like fuck up because it's just so political. It's so political. I don't think he's going to win because Phil Heath is just a better representative of the sport because he speaks better English. And there's just like a whole politics behind it. I just think it has to be blatantly obvious and blatantly bad from Phil Heath's standpoint for him to lose. Ever since I started listening to your podcast, I quit using protein powders and other sups, all natural diet, no dairy, no bread. I feel better than I ever have, stronger, faster, the best I have ever looked. No headaches anymore. It was hard as shit at first. You're welcome, man. I missed the last part of the message, but that's just because you're investing in yourself. You're investing your time and your effort into that. So yeah, I mean, let's take some comments, drop some comments. I'll get to some things, but I think Big Ramy, I think he 310 pounds lean. That's ridiculous. How much is he in the off season? 330, 340, 350. Guy's going to be dead like in 3 years, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to win being that big. I think he's going to be too big. When you're that big, it's hard to come in with like the shape and the size, especially to beat someone like Phil Heath. So there's a big disconnect between health and bodybuilding. There's a big disconnect between what you think people are taking and what they're actually taking. Most of these people on social media are taking stuff, and you wouldn't think it because sometimes these people look kind of skinnyish, right? Sometimes you see people looking kind of skinnyish on Instagram, but they're benching 300 pounds. Like, well, how is that possible? Well, you can be strong without having the same proportionate muscle mass. Like you can build strength without building muscle mass to the same extent if you're doing strength training primarily. But there are many exogenous hormones and stuff you can take that don't put on bulk, that just increase your body's ability to recruit motor units and produce strength and produce force output. You're welcome, Sandra. Dakota Bowers, do you have any study tips? Where the fuck did that come from? Study tips? What is this? Detention? Study tips, I do. Write your own test and then take it. Write your own multiple choice test for any question that you're trying to know the answer to. It'll help you go through the material and you'll break down the chapter in order to reinforce the correct answer and also the incorrect ones. John Bayer, all natural proteins from the food that I eat. You don't need all these supplements. You don't need them. Most of them barely do what they claim they do, if that at all. And most of the people that are on these covers, where do you see who promotes these supplements? It's professional bodybuilders that are sponsored by these supplement companies, these pre-workout powders. And you see Phil Heath on the cover. Oh, he's getting paid $100,000 to be the spokesperson for some fucking supplement. And all it is caffeine and creatine. You think Phil Heath is taking that fucking pre-workout to get that big and get that lean? And no, maybe he's taking that too. Maybe he has that in his bag in case someone sees him like, oh yeah, I take this stuff. Maybe he's required to have it around him in the gym when he's training or to talk about on social media, whatever the contract says. He's injecting tons and tons of shit, of growth, of test, of everything. You know, it's just kind of, it's crazy. It's crazy. And people tend to want to be in denial. Most people that buy supplements, you are allowing yourself to be deceived. You're buying snake oil. You wish there was a shortcut. You want there to be a shortcut or an easier way so bad, you buy it with this kind of like 0.001% chance that you're going to see a fucking unicorn by taking this powder. And you just buy it and you just hope you just get proven wrong that, and this works amazingly. And all of a sudden you take this powder and you're going to see amazing progress. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Nothing is going to do anything to supersede eating the right shit, training hard, and doing it for fucking years. Years. It doesn't take weeks. You're not going to train for 3 months and revolutionize your body. I mean, you can see amazing progress. Don't get me wrong. Depends on where you're starting from. But what, you're going to die in 3 months? No, you're planning on being around for 30, 40, 50, 60 years more, right? So you better strap in for the long haul. It's not about the short sprint. It's about making sure you're preparing yourself for the rest of your life. You got to do it right. Do it right from the beginning. Oh, people love to be in denial, Eric. Absolutely. Word of the day. Well, that's a phrase of the day. People love to be in denial. They allow themselves to be in denial about a lot of things. A lot of things. I don't want to get into some of those other debatable topics, but people love to be in denial. They love it because it's an excuse. You can blame it on the supplement. I've tried everything. I've tried taking this. I've tried taking that. If you export, let's say export or outsource, if you outsource, that's where a lot of people fall short. They outsource responsibility. They outsource it to whatever program they're doing. Blame it on the program. You blame it on the supplement. You're outsourcing your excuses. You're like, oh, well, I took this and it didn't work out for me. No, you just fucking didn't do it right. It has nothing to do with the powder you took. What got you started into your journey? I hate those questions. I don't know. What got me started? I've always wanted to be I've always been active. It depends on what you mean by my journey. What part of my life? I never like those questions. Like what inspired you to? It's just fucking life. I love it. I love it. Always wanted to be muscular, good physique. Like, how'd I start the podcast? I mean, those are different questions. What's up, Arnold Swole's? Well, I'm not going to read that out. I'll get in trouble. No, following you down from 275 to 215 lean. Bench is up, strength is up. Feel great. Arnold Swole's a nigga. You fucking... Travis Wagner, watching a video of Rich a while ago, he was talking about that he knew guys are spending thousands of dollars a month on roids and some were in pro bodybuilders. Even it's crazy the cost of that stuff. That's another interesting point. It's the cost. Anabolics cost a fortune. They're so expensive. Thousands and thousands of dollars a month. A month. And you can spend all that. You could spend all that and not get the results that would reflect that. Plus, when you stop taking the shit, it goes away. You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it because you can't maintain above your genetic potential without those exogenous hormones because they're not present when you stop taking them. And if you take them for too long, you could damage your body's natural production. So some people are taking these anabolics in their teenage years and 20s, and they're going to be on testosterone replacement the rest of their life because they pretty much shut down their body's natural production. That's what happens. It's scary. You don't want to fuck up your body's natural shit. I have no problem. For example, from my standpoint, I've had people ask me about what I thought about hormone replacement. I think it's fine. If you go to your doctor and you see you're low, that, live your life fully, vibrantly as long as you can. So for me, when I'm doing blood work, if I see that I'm starting to get low, maybe, I mean, I'm 35, so maybe in 10 years, who knows, I'll take it. There's no shame or anything. I'm going to take it. Of course, I want to be strong, maintain muscle mass, be active, but I'm not going to take extra and affect my fucking body's natural production. Everyone's different. Some people need it. Some people have issues from environmental factors, poor diet practices, their parents, genetics. There's all sorts of reasons. I don't think there's any issues with testosterone replacement if it's appropriate, if it's medically viable. But if you're just taking, hey, I want to get huge, I mean, come on. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. What shoes would you recommend to avoid disrupting neutral shoes? Well, thank you, Mama. I appreciate that. Mama Xander, I'm Papa Swole. Nice to meet you. Zero grade, zero decline, or zero neutral shoes. I like my Vibrams, but that's barefoot. You just got to be careful going to like minimalist shoes too quickly. The different thing between you and other podcasts is they are fake and tell people what they want to hear. They only care about the money. You, on the other hand, are real. You always speak out your mind. You are one of my top 5 health and workout motivators I look up to. Thanks, Victor. Appreciate it, man. Victor on Facebook. Much love. Likewise. Well, I don't answer to anyone. I think that's something that's becoming more and more, I guess, farther and fewer between people that, or I guess it's becoming maybe more popular but it depends. It depends, because once you really, if you're answering to someone and someone's paying your rent, so to speak, you have to do what they say, right? You can be fired. If you work for a major news network, they can say, we don't want you to say that. We don't want you to talk about that. Well, the internet has taken that out of anyone else's hands, and I'll say whatever the fuck I want. I'll say whatever the fuck I want. I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want. Steroids can be a sensitive issue. I don't know. I'm sure somewhere this could get blocked or something. They'll get flagged. Oh, he's talking about illegal drugs. I'm not recommending anyone takes it. Just discussing about it. That's another thing too. If I'm sitting here saying, you should do this, you should do this. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. But I think it's important to talk about because people are doing it. They're doing it everywhere. Yeah, they can definitely. I've seen the side effects of people taking too much later in life, and oof, they just look shitty. They look shitty when you use it too much and your body looks all deformed in certain areas because of the receptors in your shoulders. You get these like weird, like sharp looking shoulders, and like the skin quality, and very cystic acne and stuff like that in many cases. My cousin who shoots that shit in his ass says he has to keep using testosterone even on his off cycle because he can't get an erection. How horrible is that? Yeah. I mean, if he's taking it improperly, when he goes off cycle, and what happens is when you go off cycle, meaning you're not taking it, you're not injecting it technically anymore, his body is not recovering and producing it naturally again. So he has to still take low levels of it just to maintain, just to give his body a break from the extra. But bring it down. That's what I mean. Some people that are very young, some kids are doing it when they're teenagers. They're doing it in their 20s, and they're going to be on testosterone replacement the rest of their lives. Like, they can never come off testosterone because their body won't be making any. And because they took so much for so long, they go off it, their body doesn't make it anymore. So they have to keep taking it. Maybe if they don't want to be as big, they can just take a small amount, but to be dependent on taking testosterone, think of what testosterone does for replacing your building muscle tissue, for, sex drive and energy, and to be dependent on a needle to get your fix and shit. Like, what if you run out? What if you forget it? What if you, not that you would forget it, but I'm just saying, it's like dangerous. Just look up the side effects of roids online. That alone should be enough to make you say no. There's a lot of risks. And can you take it and be healthy? I mean, healthy that's a very open-ended kind of conversation. It depends on what you consider healthy, right? I mean, the long-term effects, still figuring that out. That's going to be interesting. I mean, the next 50 years, we'll have a lot more information with how people that had testosterone replacement, blah, blah, blah. These things take time. Steroids have been around for 100 years, but the exposure and the science and the attention and people that are taking it's a lot more common than it ever has been. Becca B38. I just started a new workout program and it was suggested that I take a fat burner and BCAAs. Do I really need these items to lose weight? No. Can I just step up my weight training and nutrition instead? Yes, absolutely. I would never recommend a fat burner, and BCAAs aren't effective. You don't need those. So save yourself the chemical ingestion, save yourself the money. And I would recommend, if you're trying to lose weight, dear, I would recommend doing an elimination. I would recommend cutting out a lot of commonly inflammatory foods and seeing which foods are reacting best in your body, and then focusing on caloric intake and maybe certain different eating strategies to fit your lifestyle best. Kombucha, good, bad, or don't give a fuck. I think there's some good, there's good stuff with fermented vegetables and stuff. I like sauerkraut. I don't drink kombucha. I mean, sometimes if I'm somewhere and I see one of those like pre-made things, I'm like, I'm thirsty, so I'll have kombucha, but not really. I don't personally do it. I don't make it or anything. I do sauerkraut for fermented vegetables. I mean, there's some people like, I've heard good things, all different types of fiber, but when you start talking about other kinds of fiber, like oat fiber and all those things, gluten, I'm like, I don't know. I definitely think that, at least on an individual basis, there are certain foods you should be consuming and certain foods you don't. Very hesitant to say that some people should be taking, everyone should be doing this. Yeah, that's good. It's really hard to say, okay, I think kombucha is great. Well, maybe it's great for 3 people, but it's not good for the other 15. So who am I helping? Am I helping 3 and hurting 15 people? But fermentation has been shown to populate and feed the good gut bacteria and be good for your digestive system. I eat sauerkraut. So that's why I talk about nutrition from an elimination standpoint and from a personal standpoint. So I'll tell you what I eat, and then you can take that for what it's worth. But I'm finding out what works best for me, or what I like the best, what I feel best for performance and for energy levels. So that might not directly relate to you, but it can give you some ideas. And then with the elimination, you can really narrow down what you feel is best for you. You got to put the effort in, right? You got to put the effort in with the elimination. You have to put the effort in. It's not easy. It's very simple, but you still have to do it. I can't tell you. I hate that shit. Fuck. You just got me pissed off. You got me pissed off in a good way. I hate when trainers and people give out diet plans. How the fuck? The nerve. The reckless endangerment and the fucking nerve for you to tell someone what they should be eating. Here's a diet plan. Fuck you. I hate that shit. I fucking hate it. I think it's absolutely 110% wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's dangerous. I think any trainer that gives out a diet plan should be kicked in the fucking taint, men and women. I'm not sure if women have a taint technically, but you should kick them right in that same spot. The big toe, just fucking punt. Women get the cunt punt and guys get the taint toe, whatever you want to call it. I'm sick of it. Sick of people giving out diet plans. You don't know. You don't fucking know. If you're going to give out a diet plan, it needs to be prefaced with an elimination, with allergy, and with custom testing. It's reckless otherwise. People should Google search Ronnie Coleman's experience with steroid use. He's a living example of what happens long afterwards. Scary stuff. Yeah, he was just super reckless, not reckless, but super hardcore training. He was one of the hardest lifters. He beat up his body a lot. He did a lot of strength, a lot of heavy training. He was one of those, I won't say rare, but he was one of those few people that really trained heavy up to like maybe 4 weeks out of the Olympia. Really hardcore. So he just banged himself up. But yeah, I mean, look how big he was. Can you imagine how much like shit he was taking? Just broke down his ligaments and tendons. What, double hip replacement and all the other shit. He's been in and out of the hospital. I don't even know what's the latest on him, but man, he was a beast in his prime, but fuck, it's really sad now. Yeah, if that's not enough to scare the shit out of you, of course that's an extreme case, but still, if that's not enough to scare the living fuck out of you, I don't know what is. Dude, my sister that's been fighting me over fitness is going to try yoga with me tomorrow. I'm passing the knowledge, man. I have you to thank for all of this. Mike, that's awesome, dude. Gonna try yoga. What yoga is she doing? Are you doing one of the classes in X? Or are you going to an actual studio? Stephanie, go. Everyone is different, so experimenting is best. Yes, but you have to do the experiment. And just eating the same shit you normally eat and cutting out a couple foods, that doesn't give you like the right, that doesn't just give you the answer. You have to cut out all the stuff and then add things back in. You got to make your body, you got to even the playing field as much as possible before you start adding things back in. I'm sure he feels like shit, Ken. Absolutely. Well, why wouldn't you? You guys like in a wheelchair every time I see a picture of him, he's in a wheelchair recovering. He just looks ancient, like crippled. I'm not sure if he feels like it was worth it at this point. Becca B on Instagram. I'm glad you said something about diet plans. The one I just got sounds basic without taking into the fact that I have MS. That was never ever brought up when I got my plan. That's fucked up. Did everyone hear that? I'll read that one more time just to show you exactly what I mean by the fitness industry and diet plans. That's fucked up. The one that she just got sounds basic without taking into the fact that she has multiple sclerosis. That was never brought up when I got my plan. So it's important for people. You need to take responsibility, right? So you need to take responsibility. And obviously you are understanding that you have medical conditions that require you to pay attention to these things. There's direct correlations with nutrition and autoimmune disease, with depression, with mental disorders. Nutrition's everything. It's everything, and fitness is everything. It's all together. So to, in any way, just brush off and reduce and whittle down nutrition to just caloric intake and macros and that bullshit is a tragedy. It's negligence. And from any kind of decent fitness professional, it shouldn't even be discussed. It shouldn't even be discussed legally. And I'm not one to be like, well, you have to follow the law. You have to follow what the medical community says. But trainers don't have the education and the knowledge. They don't. I don't even have, like, I'm not a nutritionist. And I never in a million years would take any of those fucking bullshit nutrition certifications. Fuck that stuff. So most of the stuff that you'll learn in any of these degrees and stuff is questionable already. However, these are people that know the realm or the ramifications of what they're offering. Like legally, you're liable as a trainer when you're offering and saying, eat these foods. I mean, that's dangerous because if someone says, okay, and they eat that and they have an allergic reaction, they die, you're liable because you're the one that suggested it to them. Now, when you make a suggestion, that's why when I discuss nutrition, I share what I personally do. I'm not telling anyone to do what I do. I suggest that you should check with your physician and you should go through an elimination process, allergy testing, inflammatory testing, genetic testing, anything, all those things as far as you want to take it really, really help in learning more about how your body works and what angles and what things might be roadblocks in your journey. But it's very important to take it seriously. Most people don't. Most people just think, hey, well, if you're eating less and you're burning more, you're going to lose weight. Not always. Why do you think it doesn't work for a lot of people? They'll cut down on calories and eat certain foods because they get inflammation and they still have pain and problems and they hit a plateau hard and they still have bloating and they still have joint pain. They feel sluggish. A lot of people can't stick to a diet with a caloric deficit because they're eating foods that are causing problems in their body and they have cravings still when they're in a caloric deficit. They have cravings, they have discomfort, they have bloating, they have joint pain, they have migraines, restless sleep. They're not sleeping well, so cortisol levels stay high. You're eating inflammatory foods. Sure, you might be eating 2,000 calories a day, but that's not going to make you healthy. Unfortunately, it's not going to make you healthy if you're eating the wrong foods. You're eating McDonald's. Oh, but I'm only eating 2,000 calories. I know that's an extreme, but what's the difference? You're still eating the wrong shit, and it's 2,000 calories of the wrong shit. It's better for you to eat 2,000 calories of the right shit. You're not going to be starving and hungry if you're eating satisfying foods. Get back to work, man. Have a good day, Victor. Well, we're almost finishing up here anyway. Any other questions on this? But anyway, juice, sauce, natty or not, just be very, very skeptical when someone says that they're natural, especially if they don't look it. Be very, very suspicious and skeptical of any of these supplement companies, especially these people that are promoting all these supplements at the Olympia, at the expos. They're all full of shit. They're all full of shit. Most of these people that look fucking juiced out of their mind, they're promoting some kind of BCAA or some electrolyte fucking garbage. No. It's like the guys that were models in the commercials for the Bowflex. Remember those? Bowflex. get your entire workout in your home. And you have the guy fucking looking just ripped and yoked doing the Bowflex curl. No, all the different, like the zoom in is vein popping out. Guys taking juice. Everyone that's on the cover of these magazines and Muscle and Fitness, they're taking stuff. They're airbrushed. It's all a sham. It's all marketing. It's all marketing. I'll leave you all with that, but go check out my latest YouTube video. I'll probably make another drop about the Olympia and stuff like this. I'll probably build upon it. If you have any topics and things you want me to cover here or on YouTube, hit me up on a message. And I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 861 of the Most Muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce Magoose. See you tomorrow for 861. Papa Swolio. Out.